Today's video, we're going to check out exactly the top industries that are not going to be affected by AI. So if you're in any of these industries, you're not going to be affected by AI. So let's get right into that, right? So what we're looking at here right now is the top industries. They did the research, Anthropic AI, right? They did a whole new research of which industries are not going to be affected by AI right now, or at least in the very near future, right? So right off the bat, anything to do with management, right away, AI can take over. Business, finance, AI taking over. Computer, math, highly come take over. Architecture, engineering, lifestyle, social science, everything you see here in the blue gets right off the bat, right? However, the least ones that are very least affected, as we can see almost here, are probably the construction, installation, anything to do with these types of avenues. Like now we have transportation. I think transportation might take a hit down the line, but not yet. It's not affected. Even sales, it looks like, is being taken by AI. In other videos, we talked about how GTM strategies were going to come into play, how we're testing GTM strategies with OpenClaw, things of that nature. And, we're going to be rolling that ourselves for our own pipeline, see if that comes into play, helps us book more deals, more instead of like cold calling, sending emails manually, hiring VAs overseas. We can put OpenClaw in that space, right? So sales, that should, we'll find out in the very next few weeks here if that works or not. Agriculture, even though I think agriculture might still be, have a lot of potential, is not there yet. So if you are someone who wants to start a business, or you want to have some type of safety net for cash flow, you might want to look into these types of business like HVAC, solar, anything, haircuts, salons, those types of things right now, right? Food, maybe restaurants, landscaping, grounds maintenance. So these are the things right now, they're not affected by AI versus all the other things like even legal, education, social services. So where does that leave you or someone that wants to tap into these business models, right? So for example, let's take the model of the solar example right now. So solar, a business like solar, okay, that's not going to be affected by AI within the very next future, okay, for at least yet when it comes to installation. Somebody has to go up on that roof and somebody has to probably sell the solar. So we know that the sales aspect is something that we can use AI for. So what does it mean for generating leads for solar? Okay. Now this is very interesting. This is something I'm aware of myself because I actually have been involved in something like this, right, in the past. So when it comes to solar, the easiest method to actually selling solar is pretty much going door to door, right? Any other method is a little bit, you got to put a lot of money on the line. It might not be as effective. Consumer data is not that easy to access, right? You can't really send an email, pick up the phone. So door to door is really the best method. Now, the tricky part about getting the sales up on the ground is you need to attract. So here's why you would set up the GTM strategies. Like I said earlier, the GTM strategies using OpenClaw to help you expedite the process of recruiting and potentially just training people. So how does that work? So something like this, OpenClaw can expedite the process of posting on Indeed, Jobs, Indeed, Facebook, wherever it is, right? On a daily basis is putting up people. You might get 3 to 5 candidates daily. And as 3 to 5 candidates, what happens is you push it to a phone number, or they put their phone number, right? And then your AI agent is going to call them, ask them a couple questions, see if they're qualified. Book him for an appointment interview or an appointment on the phone. If they pass your qualification checks based on your AI agent using different models like VAPI, Telenix, whatever, if you set it up once, you can have this perpetual cycle of your OpenClaw putting on ads, okay? Like we said, the GTM strategy. Your AI agent is going to put up these ads for you for recruiting, okay? Then you have 3 to 5 potential people a day that are serious, right? But you interview them, but you don't want to pick up the phone and interview them, right? So we're trying to limit the amount of time, human labor. So your AI agent comes in and calls them, books them for an interview, and then you can conduct the interview either on Zoom or you can conduct it in a physical person. Now, that being said, what happens here? Okay, let's say we have all that processes in check. What happens here is we can do the economics. If you collect 10 people, okay, those 10 people, you have a little daily meeting on Zoom. If it's a remote, enterprise, even better. Everybody has their own location. Your ideal goal is to get 10 appointments booked a day for your solar, which you can probably convert down the line to, at least 2 to 3. So even if you have 1 or 2 closes a day and you do the math on a solar type of business, if you're working on commission, maybe 2,000. From my understanding, if you're working for a company, let's say you sell 6,000 watts of energy, they give you 20 to 30 cents per watt, right? So you probably cash collect 2 to 3 Gs if you're selling, if you're a salesperson, or if you even run your own company, you have your operation. Obviously, it's a higher ticket, probably 15 to 20,000, excluding the cost. So right now, you're looking at 100K a month type of business if you're doing it by yourself, or if you're a salesperson, you just want to run this operation and just collect checks. You'll be easily at 20 to 30K a month collectively. Now, the difficult part, the reason why people don't do this is, like I said, the hiring aspect, the recruitment aspect is very difficult. This is why, by understanding systems like we talked about earlier, so we can actually bring in the open clause, we can look at the models. Like, for example, sales is something that we can tap into open clause, right? But installation and repair, we're not going to be there yet. So if we compartmentalize all the pieces of business and automate those aspects, we can potentially get ahead and have businesses in different avenues. Now, we talked about, the installation, like, for example, solar. We can do this again with a landscaping company, which I already tested, or we can tap into something else, right? It really just doesn't matter. You got to pick and choose. You can pick and choose your own business model, right? So if you're someone that actually is looking to tap into that, you want to consider exactly this chart. Which avenues is AI performing well in? Let's tap into those. Let's get those aspects sorted out. And then let's focus on these other areas that AI hasn't tapped into and actually, capitalize, build businesses, buy businesses, whatever the case is, right? So that's pretty much the whole overview of, the industries that are potentially being run by AI. I just give you a whole brand model for an example. This is a valid model. Right. The reason why I spoke about solar is because I'm actually actively testing this out. Right. So, for example, if I go into this application where it essentially shows you a field of solar homes, some people have bought, some people haven't. I'm actually actively doing the things that I'm telling you about. Right. So it's not something that, is coming out of thin air. Right. This is a map of a door-to-door business. I'm actually working and helping to utilize this exact process for this business. It's working pretty well. But now, as I'm looking at it, this is the bread and butter for this business. The recruiting, the aspect of the door-to-door, which again, things like OpenClaw, things like these agents will help you expedite 90%. The rest is just managing the team. Again, very simple stuff. Come up on Zoom. You don't need a whole new office, right? Everybody has their own turf and location and things of that nature, and you could go more forward. All right. So if this video was helpful to you, check out the description below. We have a community actually that we share ideas. We, get you from point A to point B, whichever suits you best, whether it's actually building AI systems, it's actually, providing systems, working with small businesses, or, whatever suits you best, right? So, it all goes on that community, completely free. You can check out the link below or go to school.com/AI department, AIDEPT. All right. So this is pretty much it. This is the map that, you want to reference if you want to learn more about, which industries are being affected right now with AI and which ones aren't. So potentially you could go towards that direction and capitalize, right? So as you can see here, obviously anything to do with construction, installation, those physical labor stuff is probably the best bet, which is why even the CEO of Nvidia mentioned himself on an actual, a seminar that he was hosting, that you probably want to become a plumber in the future, right? So those physical trade jobs are becoming, the most cash cows potentially in the future for most people. So if you are someone that's interested in that, definitely follow along, join the committee so we can actually bring you some unique cases. Now, if you follow myself back in August, I did work with a landscaping gig. We actually generated $20,000 in revenue in a matter of a few months utilizing AI, Facebook Marketplace, and just organic ways of traffic to generate, potential leads and close them, right? It's validated. These businesses do have potential. They're cash cow businesses. They're services that people really want. You don't have to come up with this whole new strategy, this whole new brand new reinvent the wheel thesis. It's always in demand, which is why we take AI into them, and we can potentially put ourselves in a position of making 20, 30,000 or more plus if we take it seriously, right? So this is it for this video. I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.